worn out town, paint peeling off them old brick signs. Folks work hard, keep their heads down, trying to hold on to better times. Used to leave your door unlocked at night, now everybody's got a camera on. Still got faith if we get it right, we can fix what's gone wrong. Ain't about talk, ain't about show, it's about the way we live, the way we know. Let's get back to dirt roads, back to porch lights, neighbors standing up when it ain't polite. Cold beer, hot true stars up above, a little less noise and a whole lot of love. Red, white, blue ain't a trend we chase, it's sweat on your shirt and calloused hands grace. If we're gonna stand, we don't stand apart.
Good evening and welcome into Apex News. I am Kyle Thompson.
And I'm Craig Blanton.
Craig, we are going to start off before we even get into our scheduled information and tell everybody we've got some breaking news that is just coming across the wire right now. An F-35 fighter jet has crashed into a field near Marine Corps Air Station Miramar in San Diego. This happened about an hour and a half ago. Officials tell KTLA sister station Fox 5 that emergency personnel are on the scene. They have confirmed that they were responding to an F-35 aircraft mishap that happened on a flight line. The aircraft was assigned to the 3rd Marine Air Wing, Marine Air Group 11. It appears from everything that we have been told that the pilot ejected. It was a single solo pilot ejected, was transported to a local medical facility, and has sustained non-life-threatening injuries at this point. So that is a $100 million aircraft right there that has gone down near San Diego, and we hope that the pilot is okay. I'm sure there will be all sorts of follow-ups on this, and we will be able to bring that to you once we get those. Tonight is a big story Friday. This is usually we're wrapping up stories, but this has been such a busy week. There's also sorts of stuff coming out right now because it is a Friday and it's that Friday news dump. We've got a week to close out. What a week it has been. We start in the United States Senate, where the president of the United States is now openly questioning whether the Republican leader of that chamber should keep his job, while a separate pair of Republicans has his attorney general nominee frozen in committee. Two fronts, same week, same fight. Then we're going to head to Gaza, where last night the president announced what he calls a historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas, and where this morning Hamas told Reuters something that sounds meaningfully different. And I don't know why we believe anything that comes out of any terrorist organization at all. Then to the Persian Gulf, where Iran answered Thursday's American strikes with drones over Kuwait, and a claim about the Strait of Hormuz that ought to concern anybody who buys gasoline. I just filled up today, and it was not a fun experience. And speaking of which, we finally have the second quarter economic numbers, and the war is sitting right in the middle of them. Two side topics tonight. New Jersey's governor found 6,600 ineligible voters, and we've talked about that before. We're going to go a little bit more into that with honest math in both directions on that, Craig, and how it affects discussions about the SAVE Act at this point. And Anthony Fauci faces a contempt vote next week with a voice weighing in that I promise you that you did not expect, Craig Blanton. So let's get above the noise. Before we do, I want to thank all of you all for joining us today. If this is your first time in, welcome. We actually started this podcast and show so that you could have all the news that you need without all of the spin, so that you can be able to talk at the water cooler or the boardroom or just on the street corner and tell your friends and sound a little bit smarter if you want to. Tonight gives you something to think about. Hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and make sure you hit that notification bell every single time so that you will find out every time we're about to go live and you can stay above the noise. So let's get into it, Craig. The first story tonight that we are going to be talking about is we're going to start here because this is the most remarkable thing that has happened in American politics this week, and it got less attention than it deserved. Asked by reporters whether John Thune is the right man to lead Senate Republicans, the President of the United States declined to say yes, not shocking. His answer was that we will find out and that he would let people know. That's a sitting president publicly putting the leader of his own party's Senate majority on notice, and the subject of the disagreement is the president's top legislative priority, the Save America Act. That's the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, a bill requiring documentary proof of citizenship to register to vote in federal elections. Whatever you want to do in your state elections in California, you do whatever you want. But in federal elections, you would have to have an ID to register, along with voter identification requirements at the polls. The House has passed it roughly 3 times at this point in different forms. In the Senate, it has gone nowhere. This is an 80-20 issue. 80% of America agrees that we need
Remember,
this.
you said that, yeah.
Yeah, and asked about Thune not having the votes, Trump said that's too bad for him. Here's a clip of that real quick.
Leader Thune, what's your reaction to him saying that there's no evident path to success on killing the filibuster or passing the Save America Act?
Well, that's too bad for him. I mean, that's too bad for him and too bad for the Republican Party.
Do you believe that?
He's got the votes. He should get it done. He should be able to get it done.
He says there that it's too bad for him, it's too bad for the Republican Party. He added that Thune has the votes, that he should get it done, that he should be able to get it done. Thune was asked about all of it on his way to and from the Senate floor. He winced, and then he said, essentially, that's nice of him, and that leadership is a decision made by his colleagues, not by the president. Before we get into...
That's not a good statement.
No, it's not. And before we get into everything that's happening with the Save America Act at this point, Craig, set the policy aside for just a second. We'll get to whether the bill is good. A president openly musing about whether the Senate majority leader of his own party should keep his job 4 months before a midterm. Is that pressure that works, or is it something a little bit different? And let me throw this out there. There's about 20 senators that have dug in with regard to the filibuster. They've essentially said, we will not vote to get rid of the filibuster. I cannot imagine the Democrat leadership and a Democrat president fighting this way. Like we said, they vote as a monolith. That they don't think for themselves. They literally don't. And anybody that's watching this show that gets offended by what I said, look at the voting record. The Democrats vote in lockstep. It doesn't matter if a Democrat puts something out there that the sky will forever be considered orange, they will vote on that. And they
100%.
will 100% every time. Like it or not, that's what they will do. And here, the Republicans, not a monolith on the other side, has gotten the Republicans in a lot of trouble sometimes. But how do you, not even talking about the policy at this point, how do you handle this when you have a Republican Senate leader who is not interested in pushing forward the president's main domestic policy at this point?
Yeah. 2 things. One, Thune is a weak leader. If he can't get Murkowski and Collins, McConnell's off. He's rehabbing or whatever he's doing, and Bill Cassidy's in the loop, and Tillis is in the loop. Thune can't rally his troops like Chuck Schumer can rally his troops, or like Timu Obama can rally his troops in the House. They vote 211 every time in the House, and they'll vote 47 every time in the Senate. Just like you said, regardless of what they said. So either those 4 I listed are just I don't understand how they can be against it. And McConnell, Kentucky's had it forever. Yeah. I don't see how he can be against it, period, unless he just don't like Trump. And that's I think a lot of this is.
I think that's what a lot of, I definitely think that's what a lot of this is.
And then, some of them are up for election. But Thune's a weak leader because there's other things. He's a weak leader not because he can't rally the troops. He's a weak leader because he won't call a vote.
Just call the vote. Right. Here's the difference in leadership styles. John Thune is saying, I'm not calling a vote unless I know it's going to pass. I want to make sure that I don't have this L on the record.
Yeah, right? Who cares?
Trump, on the other hand, is saying, put it on the record, make the Democrats actually vote on it, put it on their record that they voted against an 80-20 priority at this point, an 80-20 issue. Use it in the November election, because right now it's just an L for the Republicans.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't have the balls to go up and say, look, we're going to hold a vote regardless, even if they only get 5 Republican yes votes. I don't care. Call it. I'm so tired of either party not calling a vote on anything unless they guarantee they're going to win it. And
Well,
it's
and the
on
flip
the
side,
local level. It's on the
Yeah.
local level, and it's really on the national level. You should hardly ever see something they vote on go down to defeat.
well, and the flip side of that is people can tell you behind closed doors, I'm not going to vote for this, so you don't have my vote. But when you put it on the record,
Right.
you put rubber to road. People have to make that decision about what they're going to do. And I have a feeling there's at least one or two of those, Susan Collins being one, who behind closed doors is saying, please don't put this on. I don't want to vote on this right now. But you put it on there, she's going to vote for it, because even in crazy Maine, which we may get to later today,
Yeah,
but even
'cause
in
I-
crazy Maine, a majority of the people think, yeah, voter ID is probably a pretty good thing in federal elections.
Well, just on the he's weak because he won't call a vote. That's the most disappointing thing of all of it. Democrats will call a vote because they know they would have all 47 of their people coming in the Senate. They know guaranteed.
Yeah.
Even the ones that don't caucus with them will come with them.
Every time.
But
Every time.
I don't even know why the two guys run independent, because they're not independent. They go with they vote Republican. Democrat.
They're listed as
100% of the time.
They're listed as independent so they can go back home and say all the platitudes and things that they want about how I'm an independent thinker and voter. BS. You are not. You are going to vote. You're going to vote down. Same with Bernie Sanders.
I wonder if he's ever voted for a Republican thing.
I'm so sick. I am so sick of hearing the Democrats say that they are independent and they come up with their own ideas, yet they vote for the same garbage that anybody else in the Democrat Party will put up. And I'm telling you right now, Democrats, those chickens are coming home to roost, baby. They are coming home to roost. And in about 10 years, you're not going to have a party. You're really not going to have a party. And they don't care, because then when they have enough socialists in there, they're not going to caucus with you, and they're not going to do all the things that you want them to do. And they scared you into doing this because you don't have a spine. And the Republicans are just as bad, because you cannot get together, make the concessions, or do whatever you need to do. You're hiding behind the filibuster at this point. That's all they're doing, because they're afraid that what if we lose power? Then do a good job of leading and don't lose power.
Who cares? Do something. If you lose power, then too bad. That's just the way it is. But they could invoke the talking filibuster, but Thune won't even do that, to where once the Democrats get done running out of filibuster and running out of talking over the August recess, then you call a vote, and then all you need is 50 votes, because you got the vice president to make the change. And that will really put the Republicans on the spot.
Yeah, and I hate to put it this way, but let's try to be fair to Thune. I don't want to totally bash him, although I'm
just saying he's a weak leader because he won't call the vote.
His position, from his perspective, is not ideological; it's arithmetic, and he has shown his work. Republicans hold 53 seats. Most legislation needs 60 if you don't have any Democrats that will come over. So the SAVE Act either needs 7 Democrats, which is not happening.
That's not happening.
Which is ridiculous. Again, 80-20 across the entire country, across all races and socioeconomic. Everybody believes that we need this.
Yep.
Except for 20% of America. And the only reason you don't want to have voter identification is you want to cheat. That's it. I'm just gonna say it. That's exactly what it is.
Otherwise, why have a speedometer on a car?
What does it matter? Exactly.
Why have a speedometer on the car if you're going to stay under the speed limit most of the time? But if you don't care, then hell, just speed all the time.
The president has repeatedly demanded that the filibuster be eliminated, so Thune did something specific. He invited the White House team up to the Capitol to make that case directly to about 20 Republican senators this week. They came, they made the case. 15 of those senators said no. Those 15 will be primaried. Just going to go ahead and tell you they will be. Thune's summary of it was blunt. This is not an open question. It's a fact, and the facts don't change, and that's what we provide to you. He added that if the president can move some of those no's to yeses, then they have a different conversation. Back in February, Thune put the odds of the SAVE Act passing the Senate as slim to 0. That's your leader of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And the leader of the Senate
going public
that represents both sides, saying there is 0% chance that I'm going to pass an 80-20 policy.
And he's right. I mean, his statement is correct.
Yeah.
because the Democrats aren't going to budge for whatever reason.
But
Makes no sense to me.
Here's where the difference between John Thune and other great Senate leaders, even Mitch McConnell, God rest his soul if he is not still with us, he would go get the votes. You need pork? Fine, we'll find you some pork.
Yeah, McConnell was a master at it.
You need this for your people? Great. And if you don't want to do that, we'll play the dirty game and we'll make sure, because we have $500 million that we can pass around to people in some of these tough jurisdictions or ones that aren't you consider to be safe. We'll push all those as well. And Thune is not doing that. Thune doesn't want to do this. He's from South Dakota. I mean, literally, he could probably have this seat the rest of his life unless he crosses Trump, and he's going to be in 2 years. He's going to be primaried. He's going to be primaried, and that's just a fact.
Yeah.
And that's just where we are. The workaround not being attempted is budget reconciliation. The House attached the provisions to a reconciliation framework, which would drop the threshold to 50 votes. Two problems, however. Budget experts say the provisions would likely get stripped out in what's called a bird bath, the process for removing non-budgetary items from reconciliation bills. Go look up who that's named after, by the way.
West Virginia.
That's right. Did he have any extracurriculars?
West Virginia, let's see, West Virginia, KKK Dragon.
Yeah, he had some extracurricular activities he was involved in, right?
He was in the KKK.
Yeah.
But he was forgiven for that too.
Democrat leadership.
Yeah.
And Axios reported that some Republicans told the White House budget director the election provisions wouldn't take effect in time to affect November. Anyway, big flipping deal. Still needs to get done. Thune's assessment Wednesday, they're probably not at 50 either. I don't believe that. And maybe the 50 is because he's counting that McConnell isn't there. Whatever.
There's two that aren't there. No, there's one. McConnell's out, and I think there's one more that's out health. But the whole thing, if the Democrats happen to gain control of the Senate and House, then the filibuster.
You think they're going to give a flip about what the Republicans?
Yeah, the filibuster's gone on day one.
They're going to vote. Oh, that filibuster's gone the next day. Next day.
Yep. I'll see. I'm going to find that. Started to talk while I was typing, Kyle.
Well, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'll tell you this: the second front this week, same week, Todd Blanche's nomination to be Attorney General is still frozen in the Senate Judiciary Committee, where Republicans John Cornyn of Texas,
McConnell's only one.
McConnell's the only one, and Thom Tillis of North Carolina are withholding support. Before we go further, we want to make sure we said something yesterday. I want to make sure it's very, very clear. We'd rather make ourselves correct and catch anything if we weren't correct. We described the $1.776 billion Anti-Weaponization Fund as something the administration might revive. But I want to make it very clear. The more precise picture is this. Todd Blanche said in early June that he had already canceled the fund after members of Congress criticized it. So any idea that that's still a possibility out there, it's not. What they want is they want it in writing. They're never going to revive it. It's the same thing. All right. Well,
even if they get it in writing, it's still propaganda.
What does it matter?
Yeah.
I can write anything, right? I could, even in contracts, I can break a contract. Those things happen. But so the fight is not over a fund currently operating. The fight is over whether that cancellation gets put in writing permanently in some form that could bind them. Maybe you could put legislation on the record. I don't know. That distinction matters, and we should have drawn it a little sharper. I'm glad that we did that. It also, frankly, makes Cornyn's position easier to understand rather than harder. He is not demanding a policy change. He's just simply demanding that a policy change already announced be made enforceable. The second piece is the president's settlement of his lawsuit against the IRS, which included provisions shielding him and his businesses from audits and enforcement actions on returns filed before the settlement. Cornyn wanted the terms clarified in writing. He got proposed language from the Justice Department late Wednesday, called it unsatisfactory, and sent it back.
Wednesday this week,
2 days ago. Yeah. And sent back his own that night. We don't know what those corrections were. We do know they are at least talking. Perhaps those things get fixed, and next week you have a vote on Todd Blanche, and he passes 51-49, which is very likely end up happening. Even if it's 50-50, the vice president's going to come in and vote for him.
comes in. Yeah.
So that's where we stand right there. Craig, that correction actually changes the shape of yesterday's story just a little bit, but it just kind of puts a gloss over it. Blanche already killed the fund. It's not something that they have to worry about coming back, really. Cornyn just wants it in writing. That's about as modest a request as a senator can make of an attorney general nominee. So I guess my question to you is, why is that the thing that the Justice Department won't put on paper with the IRS deal as well? And is there
Trump-
gamesmanship going on right now? Like, is there something we're not seeing?
I don't think so, because I mean, other than just common sense, Trump should not. The part with Trump getting where he can't be audited or his kids can't be audited, that's
What a
got to be
joke.
struck out. That's got to be
That's a
struck out.
joke.
Yeah, he never should have been put in there. But if it was, Joe Biden pardoned him, his son, and everybody back to 2014. So at the last minute.
Well, it's interesting to me. I have a lot of people on my timeline. Some of them on the opposite side of the political spectrum of you and I, and they have, for some unknown reason, decided to dig their heels in on Dr. Fauci and on pardons for family and everybody's. Well, Trump was going to go after him. He hasn't gone after. He literally hasn't put anybody in jail. Nobody's been punished.
Not look through no underwear drawers.
He hasn't gone through any underwear drawers, which Joe Biden did. What happens when Donald Trump, who actually has been prosecuted, everybody talks about he's a felon, 34 felonies on a bookkeeping error that you couldn't even say what the underlying criminal action was. That's
all it was. It was a paper error.
By the way, very good chance that thing gets thrown out eventually.
I think so too.
And so when all that's gone, when Trump's leaving in 2029, January 20th of 2029, and he pardons the entire Trump family, you're all going to lose your mind. Your brains are going to explode out of your ears because you won't be able to handle the fact that he did the exact same thing that Joe Biden did. And now you're going to sit here and say, oh, well, he did it because Trump was going to weaponize it. Biden had already weaponized the DOJ against Trump. And
much worse.
And General Flynn and anybody else. There were people from the Republican Party who went to prison, and whether they deserved to go to prison or not.
You can say the last 6 months of the Obama administration, they weaponized the DOJ.
Of course they did.
Continued on with Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Obama working in cahoots. Don't forget the Steele dossier. And
nobody went to prison for that.
And Biden just carried it forward.
I love turning on my social media and people saying, this is just a show trial. You're wasting everybody's money. What did we do for 2 damn years over the Russia collusion thing?
Which turned out to
people went to prison on the false allegations. Carter Page had his life ruined over some of the things that happened.
What was the General
Flynn?
General Flynn had his life ruined.
I mean, these people were threatened within an inch of their lives. And this is where they say, well, Trump's going to weaponize it. It had already been weaponized.
Yeah, when you call CNN before you raid somebody's house at 6, and
so they can have the cameras there.
They had CNN. They didn't call nobody else. They called CNN. Be there because we're going to kick the door in on General Flynn, and we want to make sure it makes national news.
Do you think that
he would have turned himself in the next day?
Of course. Do you think a medical doctor would come forward and say that President Trump is just a well-meaning elderly man with a bad memory? Absolutely not.
No, they'd be screaming 25th Amendment.
Of course they would. It's just a joke. It's an absolute joke.
That's not going to happen.
It's not. Here's where it stands tonight, though. Blanche met with Cornyn and Tillis Thursday afternoon, the first time they'd sat down together this week after Cornyn had canceled on him repeatedly. Punchbowl News, there's a news source for you. Punchbowl News.
Oh, they're good.
They are very good. We just haven't used them on the show before.
Right.
But,
they've existed for a while.
They reported a source describing the two senators as very near a resolution, but Cornyn left the Capitol Thursday night without a deal. And that probably goes back to some of that language back and forth they're working on. And now the calendar takes over. The Senate does not return until Tuesday. Today is the last day the chamber is scheduled to be in session before the August recess. However, I have a feeling that between right now and Tuesday you will have a senator go onto the floor and object to the recess.
Well, just got a note. Said the live is stuck saying same words over and over.
Cool.
We'll pick it up later tonight on YouTube. I guess they're talking about us.
Must.
Are we having some technical difficulties? Can somebody tell us if you're able to understand our word?
Jen's watching, so if it was bad, Jen would
okay, all
definitely.
Right. Okay,
let
that's a friend of mine. She said she'll catch it later tonight.
Okay, well, anyway, that's where it stands right now. So the earliest committee that anybody could act is Tuesday, and even then, advancing a nomination requires procedural votes and a waiting period before a floor vote.
Mm-hmm.
Thune could hold senators back from their break to get it done, but that assumes a fast resolution. I think the reality of this is that you will end up having individuals who object to the recess. They will then come back in and they'll handle a couple of things. Number one, I think you'll have a procedural vote that will determine whether they go on break. I do not know that it will pass, and then
it only takes one senator.
It only takes one.
Stop them.
Yeah, Jen says everything's running smoothly, so thank you, Jen, for letting us know. The other thing that you got to consider is that you have John Thune now kind of having some folks that are kind of jumping on him publicly. We knew it was behind the scenes, but now it's kind of happened publicly. And at least one is now saying it out loud. Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, also on his way out, said Blanche simply cannot give the commitments the two men want. Who cares what Bill Cassidy? Dude finished third. He got
smoked in the primary. In the primary,
wasn't even close either. Wasn't even close.
24-year senator got smoked, and now he's got hurt feelings.
Of course he does. And maybe you should. So step back and look at both of these issues together.
Don't take it out on the country because you got beat.
Of course. And that's exactly what he's doing. And that's exactly what Cornyn's doing as well. I mean, we know that. We expected it. Nothing less.
Yeah, because how fast was the Cornyn Paxton vote called?
We are not. The polls have now closed. We are now going to call it for Ken Paxton.
It was fast.
So step back and look at both of these together because they are the same story. It's a bigger one than either fight alone. It's all kind of combined at one time. On one front, the Senate Majority Leader tells the president he does not have the votes. I know you don't know this. There's a very famous song in Hamilton where they're saying,
I don't know
you don't have the votes. Anyway, I know you don't have that. On the other side, you have two committee Republicans telling the president they will not confirm his attorney general without written terms. So he can't even get out of the committee. So that's a problem. Cornyn and Tillis were told their political careers were ended by his refusal to endorse them. And there's a piece of context worth having here. Thune won his job in a contested race against Cornyn and Rick Scott after Mitch McConnell stepped down. If there were a moment for rivals to move against him, this would be it. And it sounds like Rick Scott has the chance, but he's not. Rick Scott, the man who ran against him, is publicly backing him right now, saying Thune is smart, working hard, and that being a leader is a tough job. Senator Mike Lee.
Remember, go ahead.
Let me finish this. Yeah. Senator Mike Lee, who has led the push for the SAVE Act, has warned that how Republicans handle this could affect not just November, but the leadership elections after it. And the White House press secretary has said the president's patience is running out.
Well, remember back in 2005, he took out Tom Daschle, who was the minority leader of the Senate. He had the nads to do something strong then. I don't remember why South Dakota dumped on on Tom Daschle, but he beat him out and he slowly worked his way up the thing. And now that he's got control, he's just not exerting.
He was considered at one time a potential presidential candidate
after beating Daschle. Yeah, because Daschle was pretty well liked in the U.S. Senate.
He was, and we cannot ignore the fact that there are 100 people in Washington who do everything together, who know each other, who get on TV and argue and call people names and all these other things, and then they go have dinner together. Yeah. I mean, that's reality. It happens even in small towns, in small town politics. But that's what we have here. We have people without the conflict if everybody agreed on everything, then you don't keep your job and you don't get rich and you don't stay there forever, because if everybody got along and sang kumbaya, then you wouldn't have the necessary conflict to keep things going, and people would say,
and we'll find
been
out
there a
in
while,
the,
let's give somebody else a chance.
We'll find out in a local election here, because that body votes yes. I mean, they'll get 5 votes
100% of the time.
98.7% of the time. I don't know what it is, but it's damn near close to that.
As someone who used to be the token no vote on things,
Yeah.
it's
Token informed no vote, and explained your reason for your no vote.
It's hard to watch sometimes. Now, here's why the SAVE Act is such a big deal, and we've talked a little bit about this, but I think it's important that we talk about it. The Save America Act essentially says that you're going to have certain forms of identification to be able to get a voter registration card, to even vote in
any of a particular form.
And then when you show up, you're right. But then when you show up, you're going to have an ID. So that's important to understand. And we have been told, when I say we, Republicans and people in the general public have been told forever, literally forever, and especially the last 20 years, that this is unnecessary. It's always Democrat leaders in the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House who are telling us this. This is unnecessary because it's illegal for immigrants to vote and illegal immigrants to vote in the United States. But we found out that at least over the last 8 years, when they've come out with these, there are people who are in federal prison right now for not only ballot harvesting these, but also not being eligible to vote. And then this week, this happened. In New Jersey, it just handed everybody an argument that gets things a little more confusing about what is happening. And both sides are about to use it very badly and not correctly. Here are the facts, and then we're going to do something unusual with them, which is not pick a side. New Jersey's Governor, Democrat Mikey Sherrill, announced that 6,600 ineligible voters were found on her state's voter rolls. Now, we know that the feds believe that to be about 37,000, but that's a different story for a different day. She attributed it to what she called a serious software error in the state's motor vehicle system. According to VoteBeat, the glitch caused unintended registrations between June of 2023 and June of 2024, and 400 of those people went on to vote in recent elections.
Okay, stop right there for a second. Okay.
Yeah.
First, the computer glitch. Okay.
Yeah. Oops.
So the computer glitch went from saying you can't vote to, even though you wrote on your registration, I am a non-citizen, which is what they did. They put on there, I'm not a citizen of the United States.
And it only did it with 6,600.
Yeah. And so, because that's what a computer does.
Right.
I know, because I've been in that field for 30, 40, 45 years now.
It's selective. It's not binary.
Yeah, it doesn't selectively do it. And to change,
that's the first argument that they make.
Comments, because they're logical. They're a plus and a minus, a 1 and a 0.
1 and a 0.
That's all it is. And for them to say that it only happened to those 6,600, because they all said we are not American citizens. They didn't lie.
No, that's how they found it. They found it because they were able to back them up.
The non-Americans didn't lie.
No.
They told the truth, but somehow their computer system did these 6,600 voters.
Right.
So continue on.
Yeah. 400 of those people went on to vote in recent elections.
Stop right there.
They know.
Stop right there.
Right.
How did those 400 know to go vote? They wrote on their paper that they are not citizens of the United States. They don't go check their voter record. They know they can't vote. So how did they vote? Did they get mail-in ballots?
It had to have been some mean Republican's fault that they were.
How did they know they could vote?
They got a voter registration card or something.
They've already filled it out. Motor voter registration. It's already done.
I know where you're going with it.
I mean, just continue.
I mean,
on.
It's somebody else's fault. It's not their fault.
Right.
That's what Mikey Sherrill had to say.
Sure.
Sherrill called a hastily arranged press conference, blamed her predecessor, which is interesting because she says she found out about it Wednesday. She had this press conference on Monday. She says she found out about it Wednesday. Mark Wayne Mullen delivered a letter to her on Thursday notifying her that there's 37,000. Then she puts together this hastily put together press conference that was a mess, by the way. They had no answers to anything.
Before you continue on again, it's like how we're working back and forth. What year did this occur?
23 and 24.
2023.
Yep.
Remember that it's 2023.
Right. 2023.
Yeah.
She blamed it on her predecessor, fellow Democrat Phil Murphy, and said she was taking immediate steps to fix it. Well, she's been in office for how long, Craig?
About 1 year.
So
and who else did she blame?
She's been there about 6 months. But
who else did she blame?
Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump's fault that these 400 people voted illegally.
She blamed Trump, even though he was not in office.
He wasn't even in office.
She blamed Trump. Yeah, and you're right. She came in January, so 6 or 7 months. Yeah.
Notice who announced it, though. It was a Democrat governor about her own state and her own party's administration's.
Kudos for that.
It's not. It is kudos. We'll give kudos where they're due. This is not a partisan allegation, at least from one side to the other. It is documented administrative failure, disclosed by the people responsible for it. I'm going to go off our script right now. The only time you do this and you come out and you start putting facts out there as quickly as they did is that it's worse.
Yep.
It's the information, the facts are way worse. And
it's like a trial, isn't it?
And you're throwing something out fast so that people can go ahead and get the shock factor over. And as more information leaks out and other things happen, we already talked about that.
Isn't that like a trial, though, Kyle? The guy you're opposing in a trial, he puts his stuff out first so that the jury can use it for shock value to the jury. You
put your worst stuff out first.
Yeah.
And if you're the defendant, you go ahead and say, yeah, I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. I was there, but it wasn't me. All that. You go ahead and throw it out there so you don't shock anybody. You do not run out to a press conference. You do not blame the previous administration that also happens to be a Democrat. You do not immediately pivot and say, "What is Donald Trump and the evil Republicans who force these people to register
in 2023
in 2023 and then vote?" And by the way, people can say, "Well, she won by 500,000 votes." We're not saying her election was changed.
Yeah, it wasn't.
What we're telling you is the Trenton City Commission had 2 people, but one in particular that was elected, and they won by 1 vote in the city of Trenton, New Jersey, not a small town.
The other one 9 votes or something like that.
The other one was 9 votes. You're 1 vote. So if any of these 400 voted in that election, Katie barred the door.
Yep.
And that's the problem with this, is that people always want to say, yeah, but Joe Biden won by 2 million votes. So what's a few immigrants voting? It didn't change anything. It changes your local elections.
Well,
which changes the policy that affects your daily life.
Look at it like this. On the Biden win, President Obama is the most popular president in the history of America. Bill Clinton, maybe. Ronald Reagan, maybe. But in this century, for sure, President Obama is the most popular guy. Joe Biden comes in, and remember, he had the very few things he did with the public. They were in white circles, 6-foot or 12-foot circles. They were sitting in their cars like at a drive-in movie theater. He got 81 million votes. He got 11 million more votes than President Obama, who got 69 million votes. At that time, the most ever. You're telling me that there's nobody's radar, nobody's antenna gets raised when Joe Biden, who stayed in his basement, was told everything to do, had read everything off a card, got more votes than President Obama? Not in a million years.
You need to get that tinfoil hat out. People are going to say we're conspiracy.
That's a fact. I mean, that's logical. That's not even common sense.
This is how it was reported down or up in New Jersey.
Thousands of non-citizens were erroneously allowed to register to vote.
News 4's Sarah Wallace explains how it happened.
Not erroneously.
Yeah.
The governor blasted the previous administration, saying she just learned about all of this. She did add that they believe only about 400 newly registered people actually voted in an election, but the Trump administration is still likely to pounce.
In the case of this error, some individuals indicated that they weren't citizens and weren't eligible to vote, but the software registered them anyway.
The governor said the error in the software at MDC offices by a contracted vendor was corrected in 2024, a year after it happened. But she just found out that 6,600 undocumented immigrants had improperly been registered to vote.
It's unacceptable that the vendor released software with such a glaring error. It's unacceptable that the MVC took a year to get this issue fixed. And
okay, let's stop it right there.
Yeah.
When you got contractors in state government, you have state employees overlooking their shoulder. Nothing gets by. Nothing goes into state government operation without state government approval.
Nope.
Trying to throw the company that they hired under the bus because of that error. And then one more thing. When errors do occur, those contractors generate reports.
Yes.
Those reports go to the state employees.
Somebody reviews them.
This is what we're on, because one time in transportation, we're coming up with a new payroll system. During the testing, they found a few new hires came on at $20,000. Their biweekly check was $20,000 even. Every 2 weeks, they were getting $20,000 when it should have been $200,000. So it was just that group of new employees. So that was easily explainable. She's not saying that she received a report.
No,
saying that were these errors and they corrected them in a year.
This is a big damn problem.
I mean, that's crazy.
And it's unacceptable that no one in the previous administration brought this to light, demanded accountability, or took action when it happened years ago.
The governor said anyone improperly registered will be removed from the voter rolls, adding only a few hundred people
Why aren't they
to actually cast ballots for candidates of various parties. The Trump administration alleged last week that New Jersey had more than 35,000 non-citizens on voting rolls.
As the Trump administration tries to weaponize elections for political gain, I am ensuring that we protect our elections.
We're playing in an adult men's softball league, right?
Yeah,
and we are using illegal bats to score runs. Okay. I find out in the dugout that one of the bats is illegal. I'm the coach for the team as well, player coach, right? Pete Rose style, right? And I go out and I say, hey, I want to go ahead and self-report that some of the runs we have scored may have been scored because we were using unauthorized illegal bats.
Yeah, you hit a home run 500 feet.
But it's the other team's fault for weaponizing the idea that any bat can be illegal. Now, the run shouldn't change, and we shouldn't look at any elections of what happened or any of the games that we played in prior to this or any of the scores that we've made in this game. But it's the other team's fault that we did it. And that's exactly what this is.
Or any previously game that gets
exactly.
That was used.
That's exactly what this is. And that's how ludicrous and this person is a lunatic for coming out there and saying, we messed up bad, but it's because the Trump administration is weaponizing elections. What does that even mean? You have a fair you couldn't have an election, the elections that we have, you couldn't have those in third world countries the way that we administer them. It is a joke.
I wonder if they have ballot harvesting in New Jersey.
And, well, I'm sure we'll have to look into that. But the flip side of this thing is this. The company who they have apparently ended their contract with, the company came out and said, no. Our software never made any issues, and anybody who was allowed to be certified as a potential voter, it was done by somebody that was clicking buttons at the DMV. It's the only way it would work.
Otherwise, if that company didn't come out saying that it wasn't their fault and providing the data, which Governor Sherrill didn't provide any data,
correct,
then that company goes out of business. The owner goes broke. There's probably lawsuits out the wazoo.
As they should.
But on the ballot harvesting thing in New Jersey, they don't allow ballot harvesting, but they allow you to put 3 ballots in a mailbox. If you put 4 in there, it's criminal, but you can do 3. So you could get 1,000 people to gather 3 ballots apiece, all of them, shove them in a box. There's 3,000 ballot.
Okay, so
non-ballot
can I put 3 in and then go to my car and get 3 more, and then go to my car and get 3 more?
Hey, I guess you can, because there ain't no cameras on them boxes.
No, that would be racist to put cameras on boxes. Come on, can't do that.
They try to get rid of them. So.
Weaponizing votes in elections. Good grief, what a mess. Let's get off of this before my blood pressure gets any higher. But from an argument about ballots to an announcement that, if it holds, would end a war, and that's a very large if. I don't think it's even going to make it through the weekend. But Thursday evening on Truth Social, President Trump announced that his Board of Peace, something that has been widely made fun of, that his Board of Peace had reached what he called a historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and all other armed groups in Gaza. He called it a monumental step toward lasting peace and security. The Board of Peace, that's the multinational body created to oversee the president's 20-point Gaza plan, followed with its own statement saying Hamas had agreed to a detailed roadmap for implementing the next phases of the ceasefire. Its key claim is this: that for the first time, Hamas has officially committed to an actionable plan for relinquishing all of its weapons, to be followed by Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. Let's be clear about why that sentence matters. Disarming Hamas has been the central obstacle to the second phase of this ceasefire since the ceasefire was signed. And I'll go even further. This is a central issue since Yasser Arafat was running the PLO and trying to disarm some of these terrorist organizations. The disarming Hamas has not just been the central obstacle to the second phase of the ceasefire, not aid. It hasn't been reconstruction. It's been weapons. Every previous round has broken on it. So if Hamas has genuinely committed to giving up its arsenal, that is not a small development. That is the thing that everybody has been stuck on for the better part of decades, but at least in the last year when it comes to what happens next in Gaza. The president framed it as a major milestone that would be carried out in carefully structured phases, and said Gaza would finally be governed by a new Palestinian government serving its people, with Israel getting the security it deserves. Craig, disarmament has been the wall this whole process kept hitting. If Hamas has actually signed onto relinquishing weapons, even on paper, even with conditions, is that a genuine breakthrough, or have we seen versions of this so many times before that didn't survive that we don't believe this could be reality?
Well, I always wonder why they don't do it on camera. When they signed the Arab Accords,
Abraham Accords,
they always do it on camera, and they swap the books back and forth between Israel and the Arab country. But you never see this on. And I'm not going to believe nothing that Hamas does or Iran does until they're on camera. These guys,
every time they're on the air, they say exactly opposite of what they've said.
And after Israel bombed the crap out of them, and they had that ceasefire, and Hamas comes out from all their underground, underneath the people's houses, hospitals, schools, the second day they start shooting and hanging and beheading their own citizens in Palestine. But yet, all these people support Hamas and Palestine and think it's Israel's fault. But that's getting off. I don't believe this will hold. I don't believe they probably signed it. Somebody probably signed it.
Somebody did.
Yeah, but when they come out the next day and say, "Well, there's other conditions to it," what's the condition? You either got the darn guns and weapons, or you don't.
Right.
You either stop launching bombs at Israel, or you don't.
I don't believe this for a second. I said this before we went on the air. It is a cultural phenomenon in the Middle East that you are essentially not only allowed to, but encouraged to lie to your enemy.
Yeah.
Whether it's a religious or whether it's political, you are encouraged to do that. So I don't believe any of it. And the quicker we learn that, the better off we'll be. Keep your powder dry, because what does it matter, right?
Well, and here's the thing. The ocean outside of Palestine, it's moderate temperatures. It's supposedly a beautiful part of the ocean, not polluted and all that kind of stuff.
The Mediterranean there.
Yeah, and their business people are saying it could be a mecca of vacation spots. They could pay to rebuild Palestine very quickly. It could be a Singapore. It could be the beaches of Japan. It could be the beaches of the Gold Coast of Australia, because they've got, I don't know how many miles of beaches it is, but supposedly, well, one of the guys on PBD is in Israel. And he said this morning that the beaches along Palestine, they're beautiful. White sand beaches and all that.
They are. Some of the most beautiful in the entire world.
Yeah, and you could get investments in there. You could rebuild the city. Those people that have good jobs, they would go from making $30 a year to $30,000 a year.
You don't want that, though.
But they
Hamas
just
does
got
not want that.
Yeah, and then they'll stop bombing Israel. And as we have seen many, many times, Israel don't play.
No. Al Jazeera obtained a copy of the agreement so we can tell you some specifics rather than just the announcement. First, the timeline. The precise disarmament roadmap does not exist yet. That's it. That's it. They make this claim, we'll do this. There is no roadmap to it. There is no timeline to it.
Then why even sign the darn document?
The agreement, very much like the peace deal, says that we'll come up with something in 14 days.
Well, there are, if I count it, there's between 25 and 29 countries on the board of peace. And they're not little countries. They're not just,
Saudi Arabia,
Falkland Islands or something like that. Saudi's part of it.
Yeah.
Many of the eastern side of Europe are in it. But I didn't see, let me see. I didn't see France, England. Let's see, there's Belarus, Armenia, Argentina, Egypt, Cambodia, El Salvador, Hungary, but I don't see England, Germany, or France.
I think it's ironic that some of those countries are on the board of peace when some of them participate in some of the greatest genocides in the history of
maybe they've seen the light and don't. Pakistan's on here, but not India. UAE's on here, Uzbekistan, Vietnam, Qatar, Paraguay. So there's countries from on all the continents.
Yeah, I will say that a new body called the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza would take over civil and security responsibility. And note this carefully, U.S. officials describe it as an alternative to Hamas and to the Palestinian Authority. Hamas would relinquish any governing role on the Palestinian Authority. American officials said it needs to carry out reforms before integration is even considered. Third, security. Once disarmament is complete, Israeli forces would be replaced by an international stabilization force operating under the Board of Peace.
Not a UN thing, not the white hats.
Yeah.
It will be a different force, not under the control of the UN. And you see Alves, I look forward to floating in the saltwater, staying at the hot Palestine.
It'll be Trump resort, Gaza.
That's what they're afraid of.
Yeah. Of course, that's what they're afraid of.
They're
You should be
Trump
afraid
will
of it.
go throw up a bunch of hotels there because you can get the dirt for cheap.
Yeah, well, the crazy thing about this is that as soon as it was announced, then Hamas spoke. This morning, the story got a little more complicated. Ghazi Hamad, a member of the Hamas negotiating delegation, spoke to Reuters. This is always fantastic. And his description of the agreement is not the same as the one you just heard. Hamad said Hamas will not disarm until Israel ends its attacks in Gaza, increases the flow of goods and aid, which, by the way, simply means you're going to pay off the people in charge because the people never get the foods and aid.
You know where the water comes from for Palestine? It comes from Israel.
Right, absolutely.
It comes from, and all the food they're getting
comes from Israel. They literally truck it in. It comes off the trucks, and it never goes to the people.
Thousands of trucks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is just another BS thing. Israel will stop attacking them when who started every time. And and remember this. There's that Bill Clinton thing going out that he said he bent over backwards, gave Palestine all kinds of land. Not Idi Amin, that's Africa. What was the dude with the white turban way back in the day? Abbas, maybe.
Okay.
I can't think of his name. But they turned it down. It was 95% of all the land they wanted, and they said no.
It was Yasser Arafat.
Yasser Arafat. There you go.
And it was 95% of the land. And by the way, they were going to connect the West Bank to Gaza,
Correct.
so that you could travel without having any contact or otherwise with Israel, and they refused it.
Right.
Let it be
What's
marked
that tell
down.
you?
Yeah, marked down in history. We were going to give you all of the disputed land and an ability to connect the two to make up for the 5% that was still in question, and they refused it.
Yep.
People in power there do not care about peace. They do not care about anything other than destroying Israel and wiping them off the face of the earth. That's the only purpose by which they live. It is not to protect or benefit the people of Gaza or any Arab individual.
Right.
And in fact, that is the reason that there is a wall, a gate, if you will, between Egypt and
Right.
Gaza. They don't
say.
want them coming over there.
Since zero Arab countries will allow Palestinians to cross their border. They won't take them in. They won't take Palestinians in at all. What would happen if Israel just said, boys, I'm done. We're going to wipe out that country. We're going to decimate it, just like Germany tried to do to England.
You'd have Iran and all their proxies coming in and doing all the things that they do to make life hell for anybody in the West.
Yeah, but right now, Iran ain't got much. They ain't got no airplanes that can get to them. And
they don't have any airplanes. They are throwing 4 or 5 rockets
if
back.
Israel was going to do it, if Israel's going to just flat take over all of Palestine.
But that's the thing. They could. They could at any point.
I said, if they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Right now with Iran neutered, Jordan doesn't want.
But that's the difference between the Palestinians and the Israelis.
Right. And the Iranian leadership.
Iranians, yeah.
Not Iranians, IRGC.
Yeah. From an agreement that might end one war to the one that's still very much running, where Iran spent the last 24 hours answering with drones. Last night, we told you that CENTCOM had run what it called a heavy wave of strikes into Iran and that the Revolutionary Guard had promised to answer. Today, they did answer. Iran announced Friday that it targeted United States military assets at Kuwait's Ahmad al-Jabar air base in a drone attack. According to a statement carried by the semi-official Tasnim news agency, the Iranian army, not the IRGC, the Iranian army, said it hit hangars, satellite communication systems, and equipment warehouses. Separately, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it attacked the American-operated Ali al-Salam Air Base, also in Kuwait, and claimed to have destroyed 2 drone hangars and a fuel storage tank. We should be careful with those claims. This is coming from Iran, notoriously full of garbage when they send stuff
exaggerate everything.
Yeah. I love when they send the AI-created airplanes that are bigger than cities and stuff like that, and then the people are anyway. It's hilarious. You should check it out if you ever get a chance. Go look at it.
They're great. They're pretty good at propaganda.
Oh, they're great at it, but some of their photos are hilarious.
Yeah.
The other thing, what is confirmed is the pattern. On Thursday, Jordan's armed forces intercepted 5 missiles, as we discussed, fired at the kingdom. Kuwait's defense ministry confirmed 1 worker was killed in a strike on a building belonging to a Chinese company in the north of the country. Keep that up and you're going to have real problems. And the IRGC has issued a standing warning. Any country that assists American attacks on Iran becomes a target. Okay, buddy. Kuwait and Jordan are not belligerents in the war at this point. However, they host American forces. That is the entire basis on which they are being hit. But now Kuwaiti and Saudi forces out of Riyadh are fighting alongside. Craig, Iran's answer to American strikes on Iranian soil was drones over Kuwait, a country that isn't even fighting anybody necessarily at this point. A Kuwaiti worker at a Chinese company is dead. What does it do to our position in the Gulf when the cost of hosting American forces is being paid by everyone around us?
They got to start defending their own country.
I don't see it as a cost.
I don't understand how they don't call an Arab meeting. Saudi, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, Syria, because they're flying over Syrian airspace.
Right.
Why are they not call and say, look, we're tired of this. We're tired of being mentally harassed. We're tired of getting our citizens killed. We're tired of getting bombed almost every night. Let's just finish the job. Yeah. They all got, all those listed, got American military equipment. Iran doesn't have
American money as
and
well.
American money. And of course, we would tell them where to bomb, and Israel would tell them where to bomb, and all that stuff. But on the flip side, where in the heck is Iran getting all this stuff to shoot at these different countries? Granted, like you said last night, it's not 300 in one lick. It's only 4 or 5.
Right.
But they're still there. Why are we not seeing, unless they're those trucks that they launch and then take off? But still, we can see those.
You can see that. You can see the heat signature and then follow.
Right. I don't know how they still got anything left.
It doesn't make much sense. The part of today's news that should matter most to Americans, and it matters because you're going to go to the gas station this weekend. We'll never see the Persian Gulf, and it got buried under everything else. The Revolutionary Guard said that on Wednesday evening, 2 oil tankers under U.S. naval escort attempted to exit the Strait of Hormuz by what it called an unsafe southern route. And by unsafe, they mean not paying.
Right.
You're not paying us, and you're not going the route we.
Yeah, their handpicked corridor.
Yeah, they tried to go to the south near Oman, and that they don't like that. The RGC says a severe fire broke out on one of the ships. Again, propaganda. That both were forced to turn back and that they were operating with American aircraft support. And then it repeated the claim it has been making for weeks that the Strait of Hormuz is under its control. Understand what the Strait of Hormuz is. It is a channel about 21 miles wide at its narrowest point between Iran and Oman. And a substantial share of the world's seaborne oil passes through it, about 20%. There is no alternative route at this time that carries anything close to that volume. When Iran says it controls the strait, it's making a claim about the price of every gallon of gasoline that makes its way to Kentucky. And if the IRGC's account is accurate, if 2 tankers under American naval escort were turned back, that is a meaningful claim because the entire proposition of a naval escort is that ships get through. We would note the obvious. Again, this is Iran's account. This is not an American account.
Right.
However, if they are launching missiles and drones at tankers when there are naval assets, including F-15s or whatever else they're flying at that time, you're asking for proportional response.
Yeah, I don't know that I believe they were under American military escort, because why didn't we shoot them down?
Right.
Especially if they're drones. The drones are not moving at 2,200 miles an hour like a rocket.
No.
They're going 200 miles an hour. They can shoot them down with the darn machine gun.
And they essentially have AI now, essentially looking for these things all around.
Right, yeah.
And so it doesn't make sense.
I don't know that I believe it even happened, but we've talked, in the weeks past that Saudi Arabia, they've got their pipeline running at full tilt, about 7 million barrels a day. They're looking at building more. Oman is looking at building more. Yemen is even now talking about building pipelines. What's going to happen is they're going to just bypass the Strait of Hormuz.
They've priced themselves out of.
Yeah, they by going after all these ships, they'll just it'll take a little bit longer, add a little bit more of the cost, but they'll offload straight into the various pipelines in that area.
Yep.
They'll go over to the Caspian Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, then they'll start heading to whatever countries they got to go to. And if they go through, the Houthis are getting ready to come into it now. They're already in it now. Yeah. So if the Houthis block off the Red Sea, then we're going to have to take them out, or Arab countries going to.
I think Saudi Arabia is going to take.
Saudi Arabia will have to be the one to do it, because that's the one mainly affected. But once they're gone, then they can leave through the Red Sea by ship, go to India, Japan, Korea, South Korea, China, wherever they're going, without really being affected that much. But it'll take about 5 years for this to happen. There's videos out there where they're showing that they're starting to do this stuff. I watch them things all the time.
Yeah.
And it just might change the course of oil delivery on the whole planet.
Absolutely could. Well, we're going to move.
Has nothing.
The price at the pump has not shown up in the national accounts yet. The second quarter numbers are in, and they came in a bit soft. They're not terrible, but they did come in a bit soft. We're not stagnant, but we're not in a recession, because we did. Unlike during the Biden administration when they tried to redefine recession, you don't have to do that with this administration, because
2 quarters.
Yeah, the U.S. economic is actually growing. The economy grew 1.5%, and the war is sitting inside that number. We're going to talk about that right now. The Commerce Department reported Thursday that the American economy grew at an annualized rate of 1.5% in the second quarter. April, May, and June. That's a declaration from that's a deceleration from 2.1% in the first quarter. And it came in below what economists had expected, which was also
Just
around
a little bit,
just a little bit, 2.1%. And these numbers are going to be revised. They're always revised. The numbers are going to come in
30 days.
And in 3 days, on Monday or Tuesday, they're going to release the jobs numbers, and we'll see what that says. And they're going to revise all the numbers as well. Those will probably go up as well. So it missed by a margin. Two pieces of context before anybody panics or celebrates. First, this is the advance estimate, the first of 3 passes the Commerce Department takes at the same quarter. It gets revised, sometimes substantially, and we'll flag it when it does. We'll let everybody know. Second, 1.5% is slow, but it is not a recession, and nobody seriously is calling it one. What it is an economy that lost momentum, just a hair, but it's still moving forward. And when you ask why, the answer is not mysterious. CBS put it directly. The number is a sign that the Iran war is hurting growth. Plain and simple. And I think you and I would agree with that.
No doubt. No doubt.
The war has disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, the same strait we were just discussing, and driven up global energy costs. That's the big one. It's not affecting us when it comes to necessarily our...
We only get 2% of our oil.
We only get 2% of oil. But globally, energy costs are up because of this, because everybody else gets their oil from there. Gasoline averaged $2.98 a gallon just before the war started in February. It is now well over $4. And in Kentucky, it was $3.76 today, which is still $1 too high.
Yeah.
Not $1 too. They can charge what they're charging because of everything that's happening. But President Trump and the Republicans are going to have to try to figure something out.
Well, in Trump's first term, it was under $2. Remember, under $2 a gallon.
$1.99.
Yeah, and then we went through Biden's 21.5% inflation increase, which everybody forgets about.
In 1 year,
they blow up. Well, no, it went 4. That's cumulative over the 4 years.
21%.
21.5%. The highest year was 9%.
Okay.
But inflation, people got to understand, inflation doesn't go up and down. It stacks on top of each other. That's why prices never go down. And with the Fed wanting a 2% growth, then that means over a 5-year period, they expect prices to increase 10%, 10.6 with compounding interest.
Right.
So they want that. That's why everything is always more expensive. Now, if you have a recession, then prices go down. But on the flip side, the worst thing about it is so many people lose their jobs.
That's absolutely right.
So, deflation is good for Americans to get lower prices, but it costs thousands and thousands of jobs.
It does. And there has to be a happy balance there.
Yeah.
You don't have a happy balance.
Happy balance is 2%.
Yeah.
I think that's too high myself.
Well, now here is where it gets more interesting than the headline, and where we ask you not to let anybody hand you a simple version of what's happening with the economy right now, because underneath a soft number are some genuinely strong components. Consumer spending, which is a roughly 70% of all American economic activity, rose at a 3.2% annual clip just in the last year. That's up from 0.5% in the first quarter. That is a big acceleration. And this goes to what you and I were talking about yesterday. People are spending money they don't have necessarily. People are talking about how things are tough right now. I can't afford things. I don't have any savings. I don't have this. I don't have that. But people are still spending money, and they're spending money regularly. You can go to any mall in America right now, and those stores are still full.
They're packed. The
baseball games where they're charging $100 a seat are packed. I'm gonna go to La Familia on Sunday. It's gonna be packed. It's gonna be packed at that basketball game. And that's a game that means nothing. So you can't tell me that the economy, that we're either in a recession or that's stagnant or all these other things. And I see the same TikToks everybody else does. I can't afford things. Housing is ridiculous. It is. Housing is ridiculous. But people are still spending money, Craig. I mean, people are still buying pizzas, I would assume. So, So you can't have one without the other. And we have spending at this point. There's a measure economists watch that strips out volatile government spending and trade to show underlying strength. That came in at 3.9%. That's without that artificial build out more than double the 1.7% of the first quarter. So why is the headline 1.5? Well, the big deal is imports, Craig's. Imports surged 11.5%, partly on computer chips and equipment supporting that AI build out that everybody's been talking about. We talked a little bit about AI yesterday.
Data centers are pushing it.
Yeah, that's right. And imports are subtracted from GDP because GDP is only supposed to count what's produced here in the United States. That single factor took a full percentage point and a half off the headline number. Olu Sonola, head of U.S. economics at Fitch Ratings, summed it up two ways. The consumer rescued the quarter, and the AI investment story is powerful, but the import surge underneath the build-out is a reminder that AI boom doesn't automatically translate into an equally large boost to the American GDP yet.
Right. Not till these four factories, these four multi-$10 billion, I mean, $30 to $70 billion chip plants that we're building in Arizona, New Mexico, Ohio, and I forget where the other one's at. Once we get those, then we don't rely on China. We don't rely on Taiwan specifically.
Yeah.
We get 70% of our chips from Taiwan right now, but Texas Instruments is ramped up. They're all these American things are getting built, and they've been in process of getting built for a couple years now. So they're only a couple years away from producing American-made computer chips that we will use in our own country.
Game changer. And
game changer.
Let's be clear about what that means. Had those already been in place, or if we were operating them this quarter and we didn't have to go out and have the imports,
right,
all of those come in, you would have had a 3% GDP growth. Which would have been way above what we wanted. So that's the key that I think people are missing here, is that we are 20 years behind the 8 ball here, and this administration, and I'll give credit where credit's due, the Biden administration as well, started some of this process, and because of that, we are now a couple of years away from a course correction.
3 at the most of getting these factories built. They're already testing one of them. One of them's already built.
Is that the one in Texas?
I think it is. Texas Instruments is already built.
Yeah,
and they're testing some chips now, the most modern chips ever, and so we're on the verge. And Trump says that we've had $19 trillion in investment in the country, but you got to build the things first. We know Toyota's now going to build. We have the largest Toyota plant in America right now in Georgetown, Kentucky. But I think the one they're going to build in Texas, I think outside of San Antonio, when the company moved from,
it will be the world's largest
truck plant from Mexico to Texas.
Yep.
It'll be the largest Toyota manufacturing facility in the country, stealing that title from Georgetown.
Yeah, that's all right. Maybe we can
earning the title from Georgetown.
Maybe we can make them build some more Camrys or something to get that back. My take on this, and I want to give you the honest read on this rather than the partisan one in either direction, because both are available and both are a little lazy. I think you hear this, and it's easy for the pundits to go, "Oh, 1.5, we're in trouble." The lazy negative version is this: growth halved. The economy is faltering. The administration has lost the plot. That's not what this says at all. And I want to be very clear about that. Consumer spending accelerated sharply. That means that people are still spending money. Business investment is white hot. It's not just running hot. It is white hot. And the underlying strength measure nearly doubled. Americans are working and spending. That's a real economy underneath it. The lazy positive version is this: it's just imports, ignore the headline, everything's great. That's not right either. And that's very key, because the reason imports surged and the reason gas is over $4 traced back to the same place, and that place is a war. We're now 6 months in, and you and I have talked about this, that with no stated end date and no guarantee. Here's what I actually think matters. The Fed is being asked to fix an inflation problem whose largest current driver is the Persian Gulf shipping lanes and the Strait of Hormuz. It can't. Interest rates do not reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which means the single most effective anti-inflation policy available to the United States government right now is not monetary. It's ending or containing this war. And nobody in Washington will say what ending it looks like. And that's the thing that you and I are so frustrated about.
Right.
I think you would agree with that.
Right. And then, there's the problem with our oil. two things. One, I don't know why we haven't completed the Keystone XL pipeline under Trump 2, under Trump 47, and taking advantage of Alberta's oil coming to America. I don't understand why we're not shipping more from Venezuela to America, because that's what all our oil refineries are for, heavy crude. Right. America's shale oil is light crude. We don't have a oil processing facility in the country to process our own oil. That's why you see oil coming into America, and then you wonder, well, why in the crap are we exporting it out? It's because we can't refine it. We got to send it to South Korea, Japan, somewhere else to refine our oil. We're bringing in the heavy crude, and we're sending out the light crude because environmentalists and others, we haven't had an oil refinery built since 1978. There's one going up in Brownsville, Texas now that will refine American crude, but we ought to be building 10 of them.
Agreed.
I don't know why we're not doing it. I mean, granted, they cost $20 billion a piece, but
along with your nuclear reactors that would.
Yep, small modular reactors. Put one in my backyard right now.
Your utility bill would be about $3 a month.
If it'd be that much,
yeah,
I'd work a deal where I get it free. They pay me.
Of course you would. So you can put it in your backyard.
Yeah.
Teresa would be fine with that.
But they're working on small modular city size.
Yeah.
SMRs now. I learned that today. Yeah. So Frankfurt.
Of course you did. I knew I could mention it, and you would be able.
Yeah, Frankfurt could put an SMR here. We wouldn't have to buy energy from nowhere. We'd make it right here on farmland somewhere that I'm sure environmentalists would complain about, but eventually we could produce our own energy right here in Franklin County.
Or the plant board would complain about it because they wouldn't have to have as many people on staff. That's neither here nor there. Finally tonight, well, not finally, our last news source before we get into something fun. Anthony Fauci faces a contempt motion next week. We spent Wednesday basically on the press corps that built him. Tonight, a voice from somewhere else entirely. Quick update, and I want to give you an update about this, and then something worth sitting with. Next week, the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee votes on a resolution certifying Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress. Chairman Rand Paul's position is that Fauci's Fifth Amendment claim is unsupported because the pardon President Biden granted him. Paul told reporters that whether the Fifth attaches after a pardon is a legal question that will get litigated, but that the contempt question gets voted on regardless. And then it's up to the Justice Department whether to take it up. NPR notes that an affirmative vote could eventually lead to a fine, jail time, or both. It won't. Legal experts are genuinely mixed on whether it would survive court. Paul also said something that I think is the most human thing he said about this whole business, that he really did want to hear from Fauci. And I think a lot of people did. I think a lot of people thought that he wanted perhaps an apology.
Why they wanted to hear from, though, on his pardon. He could say anything he wanted and not get in trouble.
That's correct. He wanted perhaps an apology or some semblance of being sorry for what happened, or an acknowledgement that judgment errors were made. And for anybody who's still being a sycophant about, Anthony Fauci's the greatest thing since sliced bread, the man lied to you. The man lied to all of us. And I don't want to hear he tried to do his best, because other people, other doctors were telling us different things, and they were ostracized, deplatformed, some criminal fines, all sorts of other things that happened. I don't want to hear that he tried his best, because the science was out.
In his own words.
His own words, he knew he was lying to you all.
Yep.
Get over it. And that he heard none of it. Rand Paul didn't hear any of this from Anthony Fauci. On the other side, Senator Blumenthal called the hearing a show trial and part of a campaign against science. I agree. It is a campaign against science. It's bad science.
Right.
And I'll tell you this. Craig, you and I were talking last night, and a story came out just by chance that Kentucky now is in the bottom 5 of all states for childhood immunizations as measles and other things are happening. That is, I am sorry, a direct result of people not trusting decades of virology.
Yeah, I don't understand it. We had measles wiped out across the country.
Yeah. And
now we're having the most cases ever. I still say it's all the fringe people out there, like the Goop chick, the blonde-headed
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow, saying, questioning vaccines. Other Hollywood stars questioning vaccines.
But then they got put in line.
Yeah, and then Fauci caused this by sending out, 12 vaccines. You got to get them. You will pay you to get them, or we'll fire you to get them.
That's a video worth
What
playing.
Does that tell you if
I
you're
sent that to
fired,
you this morning, didn't I? And it's the montage of him saying, "We'll make you lose your job. We'll make you, essentially be broke and homeless." And he said, people stop giving that personal opinion BS once you pressure them into doing it. Gross.
Yeah,
absolutely gross.
Yeah, you fired military members who've dedicated their life to the country. You fired all kinds of people. Kyrie Irving sat out a year of the NBA.
Good on Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, I don't know
for apologizing to him.
Right, I don't know what Kyrie made that year, but I'll say easily $30 million. What was the pro tennis player that wasn't allowed to play in the Australian Open and the U.S. Open?
Is that curious?
One of the all-time greatest.
Oh no.
Where we joked about, just go to Mexico.
Rafael Nadal.
Yeah, just go to Mexico and cross the border. I don't think it was Nadal. I'll find it. But go to Mexico, cross the border, and he could play then.
It was unfortunate. But here's the part we wanted to end the week on. Charlemagne the God, not somebody that we've quoted before on this show, but somebody you and I both know, not personally, but know of as his commentary.
Smart guy.
Co-host of the Breakfast Club and one of the most influential voices in black radio in this country, a man who has interviewed Democrat presidents and vice presidents and endorsed Democrats. He has a podcast, a comedy podcast as well. He said on air that Fauci pleading the fifth looked suspicious. He used the word fishy, and he asked the question that a lot of people asked this week and that a very few institutions have wanted to touch. Why did he need a pardon in the first place? Now, we want to be careful here because it would be easy and cheap to hold that up as a gotcha. It's not. We're not trying to be like that. But Charlemagne's not a Republican, and he's not endorsing Rand Paul's investigation. He thinks it's a show trial, too. And we agree. We don't believe anything's going to happen. He's reacting the way a normal person reacts to watching someone decline to answer 100 questions,
right.
111 to be exact. But that is precisely why it matters. On Wednesday's show, we walked through 4 years of coverage that treated this man as an embodiment of science. Yesterday, we showed you a bunch of videos about it, and we said
it's crazy.
And we said that the bill comes due at some point after that, right? This is what later looks like. Not a conservative outlet running a segment, a mainstream cultural voice with an enormous audience that has no partisan reason to say this, looking at the same footage everyone else saw and saying, that didn't look right. That looked fishy. When the reaction stops being partisan, which all of us need to get on board with, and starts being more universal, kind of like we need a voter ID, you're no longer watching a political fight. You're watching a reputation settle at its actual level. That's a little bit Djokovic is what.
It's Novak Djokovic.
Yeah.
It was a 2022 Australian Open and the 2022 U.S. Open.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And then for those of you who don't know,
other smaller tournaments.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith came out this week and essentially said we owe Kyrie Irving an apology.
Absolutely.
And good on Stephen A. Smith. He's actually one of the people that I like listening to, even when I disagree with him, because if he gets something wrong, and he's gotten stuff wrong, he will admit it. We get stuff wrong all the time. We come on here the next day and say, "Hey, we flubbed. We messed that up."
Like you did this morning, just like you did at the start of the podcast.
That's right. We'll always do that. Good on Stephen A. Smith for saying we don't owe him an apology because we were right. We owe him an apology because we didn't handle this properly.
Right.
And the man missed a year. He was. At one point, there were discussions that he was going to be removed from the league.
Right. They were going to kick him out of the NBA.
They were kick him out of the league.
And probably at that time, the best point guard in all NBA.
He was removed from the top 75 players of all time because of the backlash that happened with this.
And people will say, this season.
People will say, well, he's also a flat earther and all these other things. He's a guy that questions things. I mean, I don't agree with everything, all your conspiracy theories, but people who question things, I like.
I don't have no theories. I only have facts.
That's right. No conspiracy theories at all. But for a guy like Kyrie Irving, who is he went to Duke. If you ever listen to the man talk, he is intelligent.
Oh, very.
And then to have somebody like Stephen A. Smith, who has a huge following, and it's not politically correct all the time to say, I'm sorry, for him to come out on his national broadcast and say, we blew this one. That's huge.
That's powerful.
It really is. And I think it's a good lesson we can all take with each other, because we are wrong about so many minor things in our lives. This was a big one, right? And everybody has the right to either be apoplectic when it comes to, what Anthony Fauci and those that work for him, what they did, or our governor or whoever else. You have every right to be upset. But there are other things in our lives on a daily basis that we get wrong, right? And we need to say we're sorry when we get those things wrong. We don't need to bury them, because that's what creates a larger divide amongst us.
Yeah, don't be afraid to say you made a mistake.
Not at all.
And don't be afraid to say no, because there might be some consequences.
I will tell you this, and you and I talked about this. There are some local politicians that have started to dig their heels in. If they just came out and said, you know what, that wasn't good, that was bad, my bad, I'm good, you will get so many more people that will support you into the future, because you can admit when you were wrong, instead of digging in and saying, and I'm not just talking about the Anthony Fauci thing, I'm talking about other deals as well. I'll give you one for an example. We are going to have Jeff Farmer on next week.
I was going to say, I was going to ask you. Go ahead.
Jeff Farmer is going to be on the show next week. Police officer, somebody that one of my great friends. I think he's
soon to be assistant police chief.
He's a great individual. I really like Jeff a lot, and I like his family, Joy, and his kids. I will say this. I was on the city commission when we voted to install flock cameras. And I was a support that passed 3-2, I believe, 3-2 or 4-1. And I was a big supporter of the flock cameras, because I know what they do on the good side. I know the good, right? And there were questions that were asked, and now looking back on it, I know that those answers weren't correct, either from the individuals, from the company, or those in power. I regret that decision, and I'm sorry for those people in Central Kentucky who were affected by that. I don't like the company and the things that they do now. Look, years back looking at it, I feel like that vote was a mistake. And I think if more politicians, and I would say that if I was still an elected official,
you told me that a week ago.
Yeah, if more officials came out and said, "I blew that one 5 years ago," you would not have any ammunition for people to come to you and say he voted to do blah blah blah.
And you would earn more credibility.
You've earned it.
You made a mistake.
You've actually earned it and owned what you did. And more politicians need to do that. This is a great opportunity for politicians and those who are in politics in general to pick a side. Dig your heels in if you want to, or you can look at your fellow Americans and your fellow neighbors who lived through some very tumultuous times and realize maybe we didn't have a solid on that. Maybe we didn't really know what we were doing, and maybe we did try, but we got it wrong. That's the part that they miss out. Everybody tried really, really hard. Nobody knew what was going on. The next part of that sentence needs to be, but we got it wrong, and we're going to try to do better next time.
Well,
you'd have a whole lot more.
Jeff sent us a text that he's in communication with the VP of Flock. I say, hey, Lieutenant, just give you a ring. I'd be more than happy to connect, see how we can be helpful. And that's a big wheel within Flock. So Jeff is getting informed, and we're going to have him on next Thursday at 5:00, and it should be, because I don't know where I'm at on it yet. I hate the surveillance state, but I keep seeing story after story after story of. Just saw one the other day where a 13-year-old was found that had been kidnapped by a guy,
right?
And they caught the guy and freed the girl from this fella because of the flock cameras.
Totally agree, and I hear the good. I hear the good stuff too. Flip side is there's people in jail right now for misusing the cameras.
Not many, but it's there, and I don't know where I'm at on it, but we're going to have a lively discussion next Thursday.
We will, and that's the good thing
sure.
that we're not a monolith.
Yeah, I worked with Jeff for a while. Kyle and they're real good friends, and I'm good friends with him, and
he'll tell you the way that it is without a lot of sugar on it, which is good.
And I've worked with him. I quit working with him in 2013, and we're still friends today. 13 years later, still communicate. 13 years later. Yeah, so he's a good dude.
Let me let's do something fun here because we've had some heavy discussions today.
This is good.
For those of you who don't know, we are the University of Kentucky Homers. You can see by my cat back there.
And over there
behind Craig, big University of Kentucky basketball fans. We got some good news for University of Kentucky basketball fans. Mark Pope went live on TikTok Live or Instagram Live or something, and was discussing some
X. He was on X.
Oh, it was on X. Okay, so there I got it wrong. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. There's my apology for the day.
I expect a apology letter from that guy.
Yeah, you'll get an email from me.
Signed.
That's right. Let's get into this because I think it's going to be fun for those of you who are eagerly anticipating what is going to happen with the basketball Wildcats. And these numbers are stupid, by the way.
We have a shooting contest where we shoot 100 threes at the start of every practice. Off the move, catch and shoot. So right now, going into day 4, Mason Williams is leading. They get 247 out of 300 threes at 82%.
That's crazy.
Second is Milan Momcilovic at 241 out of 300. He's down 6. And Trent Noah is down 8. So today, we're about to find out.
That is right there, dancing around.
Look in the background.
That's Cam Williams dancing around.
Yeah. Who? Crap! I've stopped at the wrong spot.
That's all right. That's all right.
Watch this guy right here. Watch on the left of the screen. See who that is, and watch how freely he's moving.
Yeah.
Now,
not on crutches.
Nope.
We'll post the results later.
Comment in the chat. Who you think's gonna win?
Hey, put it down right now. Milan has already come back from down 6, 2 weeks ago?
Never. I'm not Usman Injai.
Mason is feeling all the pressure. Trent's the dark horse.
No pressure.
Let's see who's going to get the win.
Well, you got 3 guys on this drill.
Shoot 80%.
Over 80% from the 3-point line.
They're shooting 80%. Listen, I understand they don't have anybody guarding them. They don't have anything else. Shoot 80% with nobody guarding you.
They're just catching and shooting. That's just pure shooting. But if you can purely shoot 80%, and Trent Noah,
then you can make 40% when you got somebody in your face.
40% of threes is like 60% from 2-point land.
And if Trent Noah's hit 80% right now,
all 3 of them are.
That's a name we're not even talking about at this point.
And Cam is another great 3-point shooter.
He is, and he's dancing around, having a big time. That is not the same type of team that we saw the last 2 years with Mark Pope. He said this is the most fun he's ever had with the team, that they have gelled greatly. There was a video yesterday of Usman Injai and those guys. They are all enjoying what is happening. Now, when you lose, when you hit some adversity, are things going to be the same? We don't know. We'll have to see. But they didn't have this kind of energy last summer and the summer before. Let me also say this about Mason Williams. Big Blue Nation, you are about to have one of your most favorite Wildcats play in the blue and white. And I'm going to tell you why. Number one, the kid is a baller, right?
Yeah.
His dad, Mo Williams, NBA
Grew up in the NBA.
Grew up around NBA players, knows how the game is played. We weren't even talking about the fact that this kid was going to be a potential 3-point threat. We knew he was going to be good. We didn't even know he was going to be playing all that much. But here's the thing that I think people need to know. Last weekend, was it last weekend or just a few nights ago, when they played Kansas, the TBT, the La Familia team from UK.
Last weekend, I believe.
Playing in the TBT, played the Kansas alumni. The Kansas alumni has Mario Chalmers and some guys that are notorious. Mason Williams, 18-year-old Mason Williams, was on the sideline just giving it to these guys.
Yeah.
These are former NBA players guys who have earned the right, and this dude's woofing at them. And that is the kind of kid that you need leading your program for the next couple of years. Listen, Big Blue Nation, you have some things to get excited about with this team. I was needing that so much. You sent it to me a little bit earlier, and I was like, finally, I feel like,
think about this. We know we got a strong bench.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a over 81% shooter tonight, on this video.
Right.
We're going to have 2 coming off the bench that shoot over 80% in these drills. But if they come off the bench shooting 40, we're not going to lose nothing.
I don't know how you can't be excited about this team.
Yeah, I've said this again and again. If Trent Noah learns how to get his shot off like Reed Shepherd, as fast as he does, if he can learn from Monsilovich, who it touches his hands and it's gone. If Trent Noah can do that, he will be the surprise of the season. Because last year he just couldn't get his shot off quick enough. Because they could always close in on him before he got his shot off.
He was pump faking, dribbling, and then trying to get a shot off. And they were on top of him.
But Pope has told him this year it's going to be analytic city. And you
keep throwing them
up. He expects 12 or 13 attempts from Monsilovich alone. Yeah. That's a lot.
30 a game. 33 This is
for the team.
Right. This is Patino's Bombinos all over again.
I bet they shoot more than 30. I'll say that now. I bet they shoot 45.
But then you got 2 big guys underneath who can rebound and can still play traditional center and power forward roles. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Well, if you rebound and just throw it out to either wing or throw it out to one of the guards and they're throwing it up again, this season is going to be, I hope it's like the 96 team on excitement. I don't know about skill, but on excitement, I hope it's excitement of the 96 team.
This fall, with these 2 sports programs at the University of Kentucky are going to be a whole lot of fun. The last couple of falls have not been the most fun. This one is going to be for the record books right here.
We're going to do pregame,
postgame, all sorts of stuff.
Some live stuff if we can figure out how to do it. Just commentate through the game. Which would be hilarious because we go nuts with Franklin County football. It'd be a ton of fun.
Oh, we'd lose our minds.
But post game, we're definitely going to do.
Absolutely.
Unless, I don't know about Kyle. I stay up pretty late. If it's a 9 o'clock game and it's over 11:30, Kyle might be in bed asleep already. I'm not sure.
Jen will be asleep. I'm still jacked up from the game.
Yeah, okay.
We'll see what happens.
We'll do post games too on it because UK always plays 9 o'clock games. That sucks.
They do. Before we get out of here, Craig?
Nope. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Got a lot of rain coming at us.
We do have a lot of rain coming at us. You guys stay safe out there. Make sure you go ahead and take precautions to get ready for that. Thank you as always for being here, Craig. It's been a busy week. 5 busy days, heck of a week of stories and things going on. To everyone watching and listening, once again, thank you all so much. If you haven't already, give us a like and subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. Means the world to us, though. We are right at that 1,800
we want
barrier. We want 2,000 before football starts. We are creeping up on our 1 millionth view as well. And we couldn't have done this without you guys. We are one of the fastest growing, top 10% fastest growing podcasts of our size on YouTube and other social media aspects as well. Catch us on TikTok as well. We chop up our show a little bit for all of the fun stuff. You can catch us there as well. We appreciate you guys. It means a ton. We hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourself. We will be back on Monday at 5 p.m. If not before, if there's big news, we will cut in, obviously. But until next time, make sure that you stay informed, stay sharp, and stay above the noise. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.